All right. Good evening. Welcome to Looper Talk. My name is Tim Palmer. Today's episode, we are going to talk about the environment of a Monday qualifier and why influencers struggle on Mondays. The episode is called Scratch Doesn't Mean Close: Why Influencers Struggle on Mondays. And I'm going to put up quotes instead of it being chaptered. I'm going to just put up actual quotes that I've read, and then we'll talk about the quote and what it pertains to. I think that'd be kind of an interesting way of doing it. And so before we get into this, I want to clarify some stuff. First off, I'm not going to mention an influencer's name out of my mouth. I'm not going to do that. They are a very sensitive group of people, and I do not want to be in a lawsuit. So therefore, I will show you some scores. You can do it what you want. I'm not going to mention specific names. I'm just going to group them as one. My honest opinion, there's maybe about 3 to 4 of them I think that are decent, that are fine. I think the rest are useless. Most influencers, to me, they piggybacked their influence off of Tiger Woods, and then they've made money off of that, and they think that they're actually growing the game, which they maybe are to an extent, but in reality, they're exploiting a sport that was influenced from someone else's struggle, and they're using that influence to gain financially within themselves, which is why most of those influencers do very little for the growth of the game in terms of actually junior golf, spending money. The first quote I'll start with is, "This topic makes people uncomfortable because it removes the fantasy." And so what I'm really saying is, okay, influencers are not bad golfers. Yes, there's some that are, but there's a lot of these influencers that hold a plus handicap. And so if you go on YouTube and you go watch what they're doing or wherever platform they're on, you're going to see a lot of these influencers showing you how they play a golf hole, or they're playing against somebody. And you'll notice they have good golf swings. And most of them are fairly decorated players in terms of they have experience with junior golf. Some have even played on the tour. So there's a good plethora of experience there when you're looking at influencers. And so I wanted to really clarify that before we get into this, that I'm not coming from a place where I think influencers are bad golfers. I think actually a lot of them are very good golfers. I think it just shows you the difficulty of what a Monday qualifier is. And I think this will be good for the common golfer to understand the reality of the situation, because I think this is a topic that's not talked about hardly at all, because it's very sensitive, and there's so much money tied to it that I think people that have a platform or have the availability to talk about it don't want to, because they're at the risk of their reputation. And so here I am. And I think, to clarify all this, I'm not coming from a place where I don't think influencers aren't good golfers. I think they are good golfers. However, I just don't think it's this. You're not watching a tour quality player, in my opinion, when you're watching an influencer. Maybe a few. I'm not saying they're all like that, but most of your influencers are mediocre, like the common golfer. And I think that's why people get so infatuated by it, because it's this relatable portion to it. If I'm watching a player and I know that player doesn't have this outlandish qualifications or this talent that I can't seem to grasp, right? But I'm seeing these common people hit bad shots and cuss and have a good time with their buddies. Well, that gives me a sense of reassurance that I'm, one, a part of something that's bigger than me, which makes me feel good about myself. But two, I'm actually good enough to be an influencer, right? So that gives me some gratification there that maybe I'm not that bad at golf, right? And when I say that, let's remind ourselves this game is so hard. In all fairness, we're half inch away, not even, from hitting a bad shot. So I think, to me, in a way, influencers also bring these professional golfers down to a reality level too. I think there's a positive there. I think some of these influencers, when they bring these professionals on their platforms, it show, hey, look, check this out. I'm playing with whoever, big PGA Tour player, and they hit a bad shot, right? Oh man, I wouldn't imagine a player of that caliber ever hitting a bad shot. But because we saw it on an influencer's channel, that brings some relatability to them, which helps create fan base. So there's a positive there too, when it comes to YouTube golf and having these influencers bring professionals onto their platforms. Okay, so let's get into a Monday qualifier. I've never played in one. I've played in a few pre-qualifiers on Thursdays. So on the tour, PGA Tour, if you wanted to qualify for an open tournament, you would need to show up on a Thursday, which is a pre-qualifier. My guess would be somewhere between 2 to 6 under gets you in. I think they take the top 20, top 30 roughly. And then once you get into the Monday only takes, I think, maybe 2 to 5 people. Usually you have to shoot somewhere between 62 to 65 roughly. So this is the quote I have for talking about Monday qualifiers. Social media shows you golf on its best day. Mondays show you golf on its worst day. And what I mean by that is, I'm not saying it's this terrible of a time to play a Monday qualifier. What I'm saying is, under the element of consequence, which we talk about all the time, if you want the highest element of consequence, you go to a Monday qualifier. These influencers, when they're sitting behind a screen, they don't have that element of consequence. They're playing with their buddies. The camera can turn off. They can delete footage, so they can always go back and redo the shot. The consequence of failing is not that big of a deal, because an influencer does not get paid because of what they shoot. They get paid by how attractive their content is. So their mindset is in a totally different spot than somebody trying to qualify for a Monday. So let's just talk about a Monday qualifier and what you're going up against. So if you shoot even par, even on a pre-qualifier on Thursday, if you shoot even par, you're missing it by minimum 3 to 5 shots. And if you go to a Monday and you shoot even par, you're probably missing it 5 to 10 shots. I mean, and these guys that play these Mondays, they have learned how to play with not their best game. And not to mention, they don't give a shit about how it looks. They want the ball in the hole. They don't care how it gets done. That's all they want. And so their mindset is so sharp and it's so focused that I feel like, in order for an influencer to be really in that mindset that's adequate enough for a Monday qualifier, you have to learn how to consistently play with that element of consequence. And that element of consequence is so big compared to sitting behind a screen trying to create content. You're not even in the same world. It's just not. And that's why you see these influencers. And I'll show you some tournament scores here down the road, and you'll see their handicaps will be like at a +4, +5, but then they show up to a tournament and they shoot 86. And let's be clear here. There is no +5 in this planet that, if they shoot an 86 at a tournament, that might be the worst score they have had in 5 years. And not to mention, if that score shows up in one of the biggest opportunities that has been presented to me, and yet I seem to fail on that moment, I need to realize that, okay, this isn't about my game anymore. This is a mentality issue. I have plenty of game, but when push comes to shove and I actually have to show up and do something about it, I fail. And this is something from experience. I deal with this. This is something I have the hardest time with is good tournament golf. And a lot of it is that element of consequence. And so again, when you're watching these influencers, the element of consequence compared to a Monday qualifier is so extremely different. You can't even really say that the two styles of golf are even the same at all. They're not. And so what you have to realize is when you're watching these influencers, you're not watching quality golf in essence that's been earned. You're watching people that want your likes. So they're going to create content that's edgy, that's persuasive, that's infatuating enough for you to get influence to watch it because they want your likes, they want your clout, because the more clout you give these guys, the more money they make off of your behalf. So they could care less about what they're shooting. All they care about is your reaction to their video. Okay, and that is a totally different mindset than showing up to a course having to shoot a 65. That is just totally different mindset. So what is your difference between an influencer skill and say a competitor skill? And we talked obviously a little bit about this. So the quote I have is, scratch at home is not scratch when rent is due. And this is what I mean. This is that same element of consequence. So these influencers, when they show up to a golf course and they have all their gear and their cameras and everything's ready to go, in order to be successful on that day, they have to think about what kind of content they're going to create. So it has zero to do with the golf. I can hit some bad shots today, whatever, but that's not why I'm here. I am here so that I can create something for you all to like, for you all to click on, for you all to be interested in. So, and I know as an influencer, they have plenty of golf skill. Obviously, if they feel adequate enough to videotape their rounds, they have enough confidence to think that you are going to be infatuated enough to watch them. But because of that environment that they're in, you're not getting a player that is being pushed up against the ropes and having to prevail in some sort of a resistance situation. You are giving money to an individual that is sitting there going, hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. No. Look at me. I need your attention. Look. Give me your money. Give me your money. It's not about what I shoot. I just want you to like it. It's a kind of a corny, hollow way of going about it. I think the ethics behind that seem, again, some of these influencers are fine, but I feel like most of them, they've just exploited the influence that Tiger Woods has really created for golf, and they just use that influence for themselves, and that's all they care about. Let's pivot from influencer skills. We know they're good enough players, but their intentions and their mindset is so different that they don't have the experience or the really the knowledge to understand what a true Monday qualifier is. And so then you get to a Monday qualifier and you see a guy, a competitor, okay? Take it from somebody who's been around these guys. I know exactly what you're dealing with. You're going to show up to a Monday qualifier. Again, I've never been to one. I've been to a couple of Thursdays. I at least, I sat on the range next to Charles Howell. I get it. And boy, was that intimidating. So this is how it goes. You're going to show up to a range and you're going to see all these competitors and you're going to see some nasty swings, dude. And I mean, some of the swings, you're going to be like, how in the fuck is this dude here? Why is he here? That looks like shit. But then you watch him hit and he's hitting everything on a rope and everything is solid. It might not look good. It might not smell good, but that motherfucker knows what he's doing because he's been there hundreds of times. Okay. These boys with competitive skill, not only do they have the adequate swing that fits the mold that some of these influencers have, and believe me, they have, but that ain't what separates them from everyone else. You know what it is? It's the fucking mindset. These dudes are dogs. They don't give a shit about anything but that ball in the fucking hole. They want birdies, they want less stress, and they want money. Period. That's what they want. They want to play around where the ball is going in the hole. They want a round where it's not that stressful. That way they can have a good mentality the next day. And they want to make sure that they make as much fucking money as possible. So when these competitors, when they get to a tournament, it's not like, oh, look at me, that's how I make money. No, ball has to go in the hole. Period. Ball in hole. So they have a mindset. To me, it's much more of a warrior mindset. It's not this community, everyone come together and look at me, let's have a little party, let's powwow, yay. No, it's like I'm about to fucking kill you type shit. Get the fuck out of my way. You're annoying. I need to win this golf tournament. So you either shut the fuck up, move, right? Or I'm going to force you out of my way. And that's just the difference. Those guys that are playing the Mondays and they're competing, when they shoot a 68, they're fucking pissed. They're not happy. They're mad. Okay? They want to shoot 65 every single time they want, and they feel like they don't have enough time. Okay? So these mid-20 guys, they want to be on tour now. So they don't give a shit. They will sit on the range for extra hours, get it dialed in. They will spend extra hours on the putting green. They don't give a fuck about how many likes they have. They don't really want to know what their reputation is amongst other people. All they care about is that ball going in the fucking hole so they can have money, so they can pay rent. That's it. I've been there, dude. I know what it's like. You have no choice. And I don't care if I show up to the range and I'm duck hooking it all day long, just straight up duck hooks. An influencer freaks out most of the time, doesn't know what to do, probably is going to shoot something in the mid 80s, and he's going to think that's the end of the world. Okay, that guy who's a competitor and he's a dog, he will still shoot 69 with that duck hook, and he will figure it the fuck out. That is your difference. And if you can't seem to understand that, then that's exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying, because environment plays a huge role. And we actually should say this to these influencers as a business proposition. It is totally smart that they don't play Mondays. They shouldn't. In all fairness, if I was an influencer, I would never do tournaments at all. Why would you? You're not here to show us how good of a player you are. You're here to provide entertainment, right? You're like a clown. Man, you need to blow up the fucking balloons, twist shit around, throw some confetti in the air, show us skipping balls off of water. Oh, you got stinger shots. You're going to go on a downhill line and just watch that thing raise up to the green. That's what an influencer is. It's all flash and show. It's so different coming from a Monday qualifier and having that mindset and then being it's just totally two different worlds, man. And it's, again, it's very smart for an influencer not to do a Monday. They shouldn't, because why would you? You're an entertainer. You're not here to play golf and perform and be a player that makes your money. You're here to create entertainment. So I would say if I was an influencer, I would spend most of my time not even worrying about how good of a player I am. I would be so focused on how much likes and how much views I'm getting that I could give a fuck less about what I'm shooting, because I need to get paid. I need to feed my kids. I need to take care of what I need to take care of. The the motives too. That you could definitely say that it's a lot of the motives between the two is why things are so different in that regard. So let me see. I'm going to show you all some scores. I'm going to post them up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the I'm going to show you the handicaps of some of these influencers. Okay, so now that I've shown you these handicaps of these influencers, now let's look at some of their scores. And so what you're noticing is you have these influencers that have really some low handicaps, man. And don't get me wrong, like the upper half of that handicap video, you have one guy who won on the PGA Tour. Okay, so those are the guys I'm not really concerned about. The +4s, 5s, the +8. We know that they are legit. We've known that. We don't have to get into that. Their product sells itself. We know that. But it's a lot of these other influencers that are, they just think like if you just watch me hit this 8-iron on the green, that people are just going to give a shit. I just don't understand that. Like why is the golf world gone to there? Like, look at me, look what I can do, look what I can do. I'm going to juggle a club or I'm going to juggle a ball and I'm going to kick it into the hole. It's like, what's the productivity of that? Like, what's the end game? Like, what do you want the younger generation to grow from, like, to gain from that? I just don't understand. Well, it's not that big of a deal, man. It's really not. No one cares. It's like, okay, but then you want things to change or you want the PGA Tour not to fail. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. And everyone's like, oh, no, the PGA Tour's not failing. It's not failing. It's like, well, why is the viewership lower this year than it was 10 years ago on non-majors? Well, it's like, yeah, I get it. It's not maybe declining very fast, but the culture of the golf world is slowly turning into this like rich, pompous environment where all these people with money are just all about looking at me, watch me play this hole, and it just at the end of it, we're just teaching our kids how to be vain. It's like a huge vanity spiel where we're just watching all these people play golf holes like we give a shit. I just don't understand. Like, provide some content that's not only credible, but like that's got some substance. Go to a player who's gone through a lot, talk to them about some stuff, do some maybe some like an old teaching pro that's taught a bunch of these people something. I don't know. I just don't understand why us in the golf world, why we are subjected to having to watch you play a fucking golf hole. We don't care. No one cares. And I think most of your reason why you're doing that has zero to do with growing the game. All you care about is how many likes you get and what people perceive you. Dude, I'm even running into that now with this podcast. I catch myself worrying about how much views I get and shit, dude. It's gross. It's grimy. It's just it doesn't work. It's not going to work. It's going to eventually fail because people need some sort of substance to create longevity. I mean, think about all these fads that come and go, like the 6-7 thing, right? That's going to eventually fade. It's the same thing with this golf thing. This influencer thing is a fad. It's a temporary appeasement. It's what's entertainment right now. But after a while, once you keep eating the same product over and over and over and over again, eventually it's going to have to change. And we can't just keep thinking that me advertising myself and how I play a sport or how I played this hole, why should we give a shit? What are you influencing? Because people want to play golf? Because like how many people, I just want to know how many people have been like, which I'm sure there's some, but God forbid, I want to know how many people are like, I only play golf because of these specific influencers. I swear, I would love to see that because I think most of these golfers that are up and coming, it's not just, oh my God, it's strictly influencers. I swear there's got to be these kids where they're like, well, the influencers, and then you have the PGA Tour guys, right? And they understand that if I want to have a better quality game, right? I want to follow people. I mean, and I'm not saying all influencers are bad. There's some good ones to follow that help grow the game, but I don't want to watch some dude brag about hitting a driver off the deck and then beat his chest like a gorilla and thinks that he's all that in a bag of shit. Like, what are you teaching my kids? I mean, what are you doing? It's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time. It's just terrible, I think. All right, so let's wrap this whole thing up. Um, and I'll kind of clarify everything. And this will be my quote for it. And there's a couple quotes actually. Content golf rewards confidence. Competitive golf rewards emotional tolerance. Influencers grow the game. Qualifiers show how deep it is. Both are just totally different parts of the golf world. And that is very true. I don't mind that we have influencers. I really don't. I think there's a part of them that do very good, and there's most of them that don't. However, I think in order for this to grow and to do our youth correctly, we need to make sure that if we're influencers, everything we're doing is productive and everything we're doing is moving forward. It's progressing. If I'm being vain and I'm just showing you a golf hole I played, there is nothing being productive from that. All that is doing is advertising what I am doing so that I can get your money. And now we are teaching our kids that this is how you make a living. Now, we don't make a living by working hard, earning it, having some integrity, sacrificing nothing. We make money now by how well you advertise yourself, how vain you are, how confident you seem. Like you cannot, those are very hollow feelings. And those are feelings that you cannot young kids do not understand really like false confidence or people's perception, like how that could be different from when they say something to your face and then behind the scenes. Like a lot of kids don't understand all that stuff. And us having these influencers that are just teaching these kids how to be very vain, I think it's creating a system where our youth are having to put more credibility into things like how I'm perceived or what people speak about me or so what that's going to eventually do is it's going to force kids to think that they have to be a certain way and they can't be themselves or they can't do things that they like because it's not going to pertain to their image that they have created. And I think that creates a lot of stress, and that is mentally, I think it's very damaging for our youth that we are going to immediately put them in a box and think that if this is how you have to act, this is how you have to be. You cannot be yourself. If you want to play golf and be an influencer, you have to have this kind of content. You need to show people how you're playing the game in terms of what holes you're playing. I don't know. It just seems like at the end of it, we are more concerned about how we advertise ourselves than actually creating content or products that are conducive for growth within the game. What would be a good example of that? Well, I think a good example would be if if I wanted to do a playing lesson, I would maybe say bring 3 Muni kids out there that have all played against each other a lot, and they're all maybe mid handicaps or whatnot. And throughout the round, we talk about certain shots and how to do them, and what exactly would you do in these situations, and throw some humor in there. But that type of content, at least, is productive because it's allowing people to learn, and it's a hands-on situation. So the people that you're a part of will learn as well. But you're perceiving to the public that I am producing something that is going to not only help these kids' lives, it's going to grow the game of golf and help other people. And I understand there's a lot of teachers and the golf swing has been beat to death, but everybody plays this game so differently that I think everyone can bring a little piece of their own puzzle to the game. And that alone will allow the game to grow, and it'll also allow people to learn and adapt. And it'll actually, I think, make the game even more progressive that way. So, yeah, I again, it's nothing against influencers. I think they're fine. Most of them are not. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of them, but I think there's a few that are decent. Um, but I think influencers are just as important as these competitors playing the Monday qualifiers. They are both equally part of the game, and they both do very well growing the game. I just think one, the environment within an influencer, it tells you right there. That's why these influencers have a hard time with Mondays, which should show you that how critical the element of consequence is. But two, I think what we can also affirm is these influencers, yes, we welcome them with open arms. We're glad that they're part of the game. We're glad that they're trying to influence the game. However, I would like for these influencers to stop posting videos that have to do with themselves. And I would like to see more videos posted about how they can either stimulate conversation, create ideas, give back to the public, do something that's productive. Because a lot of what these influencers do is it's all about me and it's how I can advertise myself. And I want your money. So, whatever content creates those dopamine hits that you guys enjoy, that's what I'm after. And that to me is wrong. We need to fix that. Yeah, that got a new camera. You can see my whole setup. But I'm gonna eventually get a MacBook too. I'm not a huge HP fan, but pretty sweet. Well, again, not attacking the influencers. You all are great. Again, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of y'all, but that's just me personally. That has zero to do with anything. I think there's been some good influence with growing the game. However, I want the people to realize, one, what you're watching, and two, why these influencers are not the quality golf that you're seeing on the PGA Tour, because that gap is a lot bigger than you think. And I think that's something in the golf world that not a lot of people want to talk about, but it needed to be said. So, yeah, all good there. Thank you for listening. Leave a comment on the page or on the video. Let me know what you think. Again, for all the recent support lately has been amazing. Yeah, I'm excited to keep this thing going and see where it ends up. So, thanks for tuning in. Another episode of Looper Talk. My name is Tim Palmer. Don't forget, lighten your bags, 200 a strap. Y'all have a good night.